Our guest of honor for the evening is His Grace Dr. Yakub Mar Irenius, the Metropolitan of the Diocese of Kochi of the Malankara Orthodox Church and Vice President of the Malankara Orthodox Syrian Church Medical Mission. His Grace has served the Church in different capacities as the President of Orthodox Youth Movement and President of the Orthodox Christian Bala Samaja. His Grace is presently given the charge of Kochi Diocese. We are indeed very much privileged to have Tirumeni amongst us. May we now humbly request His Grace, Dr. Yakub Mar Irenius, to deliver the presidential address.
Everything for the glory of God. My respectful namaste and pranams to all the luminaries sitting on the dais and the young doctors on the wings. I must say that this is the harvest season for Mosc Medical College. This is the 16th graduation day or celebration. We have reason to be proud of the stature to which Mosc Medical College has grown and reached today. At this time, we recall the hard work, the dreams of the founding fathers of the institution, 1970. It was a very humble beginning for a hospital in this part of our state. But as they dreamed, continued to dream, there's no expenditure in dreaming. We also dream. They dreamt about a medical college. And that has become a reality. And today, the college has graduated. Not just the students. I would like to say Mosc Medical College has graduated to a very high level in the field of medical education in this country. And why did I say this is a harvest time? This is the time that the staff, the institution, the management, everyone is collecting something useful for society, because healthcare is a social concern, not just academics. I want to repeat that. Healthcare is a social concern. The first thing I would like to impress on you, simultaneously, I appreciate this cave-like formation here. This is second time that you have the graduation ceremony exactly here. When we had the first graduation here, we had the former collector of Ernakulam, a lady. She was here. I remember that. So the first thing I want to impress upon you, young doctors on the wings, that somebody is a doctor, not just for his or her sake. You are a doctor for others. I hope you delve into this idea. I repeat that, you are a doctor for the sake of others. Not just for the credit of being a doctor. After MBBS, you may go higher, still graduate. All very good. The country needs you. India calls you. Why? Because healthcare is a common social concern. I am a clergyman, not just for my sake, but for the sake of others. Not just for the church as well. For others. So a doctor is trained or groomed Training is a very, very bad, wrong word. Because animals are trained, human beings are educated. So you people are groomed, not just trained in the classrooms or lab, but you are groomed in your personality. The doctor's personality is unique. With the recognition and knowledge that a doctor exists for the sake of the people. This institution has a commendable history of producing very high quality doctors. Kolanjeri has credit to its credit through its various departments, highly qualified doctors who are serving throughout the world. Today you are celebrating. We are all celebrating. We are joyful under the leadership of Sri Joy P. Jacob. And what are we celebrating? We are celebrating our dedication to a cause. As you enter into the world of medicine, practical world of medicine. So far, you were with your books, your practicals, you go along with senior doctors, etc., etc. You know the details, not I. But the real education begins now. Someone said years ago that I really started my learning after leaving school. The real education begins once you leave the institution. As you confront the realities of pain, the realities of sickness, with no hope in life, when you just look at a patient and stare into your face helplessly, it is that helplessness that is so touching. I want to tell you, my friends, a story from ancient Indian Purana literature. In our younger days, we have heard about Sri Krishna and Saudama or Kuchela. Kuchela was a Niswan. He had nothing, no wealth. Actually, he was going without food for days together. Then, as prompted by his wife, he visited Sri Krishna. And Krishna could divine that somebody is coming. Or his classmate, during the Gurukula system, Saudama and Krishna studied together. And seeing his old friend, he hugged Saudama or Kuchela. And as the story ends, Krishna gives a lot of wealth, gift, this and that to Kuchela. And the most moving statement in that story is when Krishna was giving so much of wealth and gifts to his old friend, he was giving with one hand, the other hand was crying. That is a very moving statement of the story. He is giving gift with one hand, meanwhile the other hand is crying. This is medical help. This is healthcare. This is the personality of a doctor manifested in public. We treat with one hand, the other hand is crying. What does it mean? Think about that. A doctor, a very conscientious doctor, what the name, has to learn some kind of psychology, and a little bit of psychiatry, and with a lot of imagination and sympathy. More than that, empathy. Compassion is the word. Compassion, exactly it means suffering with another person. The challenge is for you. When you go to a patient, or patients for that matter, they are suffering. If I am a doctor, Do I suffer with the patients? Even Jesus Christ, when he saw the sisters of Lazarus who was dead, crying, he also started crying. He was going to resurrect Lazarus, but he started crying. Bible bears the witness. Why should he cry at all? Because of compassion and empathy, suffering with another person. When the doctor sheds tears or the doctor smiles, that is a very important effect, an impact on a patient or a standby. Remember that you give medicine with one hand and a pat, you will be all right. And the other hand is crying. For me, it's a very, very potent image. A heart that goes out to all people who are in pain and suffering. It is not just academics. You can hold a lot of degrees. You can be a fellow of some other overseas universities. But a heart with this compassion, which is ready to bend towards the patient, who is waiting for a word of comfort. Sometimes that is more than enough. A word of comfort, a word of reassurance that I am with you. It is this kind of thing. I am not preaching to you. I am not the person to preach to you, but a word of consolation and a handshake if possible. Yes, I stand with you. And as gurus, medical gurus, you are not talking to your patients. Listen to me, you are talking with your patients. You never talk to your patients, but talk with them. This is true of every classroom. This is true of every hospital or medical college. We talk with our patients, never talk to them domineering. I am much bigger than you, you are at that. Not at all. But this is a sacred kind of job for you. You may or may not believe in this, that deity, God, etc., etc. But this is a sacred job. Because it touches on a person's mental health as well. As we know, as you know better, our body and mind work together. As you treat your body, the mind also gets healed. It is this healing mission which we are just putting our hand on to. The healer may sometimes get wounded. I was reading a small book today, The Wounded Healer. This refers to Jesus Christ in one way, there is theology, forget about it, but the wounded healer. When a patient dies, are your eyelids wet? It's a very non-medical kind of issue. When a patient passes out and relatives are sitting like that, will that make your eyelids wet? But that is life. You are going to see those sceneries which you have not experienced in reality. Books are not our masters. Though you have with 99%, 98%, we are clapping for that. It is all okay. But it is a human question that we need good doctors, physicians. We need good lawyers. We need good clergymen. We need good politicians, but very few are good politicians. Our beloved Prime Minister talks about Atmanirbhar Bharat. I don't know what exactly he means by that. Atmanirbhar Bharat. But this is part of it. What we are Thinking, dreaming, doing for today and tomorrow is part of Atmanirbhar Bharat. I know you are planning for tomorrow, dreaming for a better future. Some of you may go abroad, overseas. Some may settle down in India or in Kerala. But remember, a doctor has a personality wherever he or she is. This is a place where you have been groomed to be a social leader. There is an old story in Kerala when poor people address the doctor as Aman. Amane. After listening to that for so many times, the doctor told him, don't address me as Aman, but call me doctor. Doctor? Now that kind of change has come. People have to get confidence in the doctor. I know these are days when medical people are attacked in different hospitals in Kerala. It's very, very, very paining. Medical faculty are attacked, physically attacked by I don't know who. But remember, you and I, we have a responsibility to our society. You are groomed by the society, not just medical college. You are groomed by the community. So we work, live and work for the community. I go back to what I said in the beginning, that a person is a doctor, not just for him or her alone, but for others. Your life is to be spent, really spent, literally, for the sake of others. After a long day, you say you are so tired, you put your gloves, this and that, on the table. But there is a sense of satisfaction. There is a sense of fullness. Just as today, at least partly you feel there is a sense of fullness. You have graduated to some level and waiting for another jump to the just higher level. But what is the satisfaction for the medical personnel? What is the satisfaction for our secretary and CEO? When you get 99%, 100%, he is happy. But he is much more happy when he hears that somebody from Mosc has here or elsewhere has come up in life and medical science and is of help to so many people outside. So let us listen to the voices outside, keeping our ears to the ground, and listen to the cries and shrieks outside. Common people who have no access to medical care in this state or in other states. Kerala is much better. There are thousands of people who miss the access to medical care. Remember those, as Gandhi said, a very poor, when you look at a person, remember the poorest of the poor in this country. When you look at the face of a patient and gives a smile, or of course you will get a return smile as well. Remember that this is life connecting with life. When you are just consoling a patient, when your other hand is crying, that sends a very positive message across. And the news will be making the rounds. That doctor is so humane. You may get a first class, okay. I also got first classes. That doesn't make me as a person. But respect for the human person is the benchmark. I repeat, respect for the human person, whoever it is. There you succeed. Otherwise, you will utterly fail. Doing something with utmost respect for the human person without inquiring what is his religion, what is his caste, this and that. Here is a human being before you. Maybe a very poor person. So in these challenging times in Kerala, in India, and the whole world, we know social structures are crumbling. You may or may not agree with me, Social structures are really crumbling these days. Constitutional institutions are crumbling. I'm not finding fault with anyone, but the very idea of India, we take to heart the idea of India that is dear to us. We are serving our country for Atma Nirbhar Bharat. Let that be our aim. That be the light that leads. Lead, kindly light. May that be the light that leads you ahead, leads me ahead, leads us all ahead. May the institution grow from glory to glory, not in terms of 100%, 19%, but the service it renders to the community around in Kerala and beyond. The service matter will be counted. Every human being counts. Every student counts. Every teacher counts. So I go back to my dear image. As you give something in terms of consolation or in terms of medicine, the other hand should be crying. May that image be get impressed in me and impressed in you as you go after your celebration. Celebrating not just your youthhood, celebrating your profession, celebrating life, celebrating the spirit of service that you have accumulated from Mosc Medical College, Kolancheri. So I must thank the authorities, our joyful Joysar, the Dean, the Director, special guest, everybody here for inviting me to join you in your celebrations. Not just to give pieces of advice to you, but something that fills my mind. I cannot but speak about it. I thank you all. I congratulate all the young graduates. Come up in life so can you graduate higher and higher in life and your medical life. Let graduations after graduations meet you in your life. Make a success of your life in terms of service. May God bless you all. Your parents are here. I know many of the parents are just sitting and listening. They are really happy to see you in this beautiful attire of red and black, just like me. I don't know, it happened. There also I see black and red. Here also black and red. I cannot just come and sit. I can sit with you, no harm. If you are a doctor, I am also a doctor, but not a medical doctor at all. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, His Grace, for your blessings showered upon us. We are indeed honored to have here with us Dr. V.K. Ajit Kumar, former Director, Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology, Thiruvananthapuram. We request our Dean, Dr. K.K. Divakar, to please say a few words and enlighten us about our chief guest, Dr. V.K. Ajit Kumar.
As is the tradition, it's indeed my honor to introduce our chief guest of the day, Professor V.K. Ajit Kumar. He is a person of our own Ernakulam district. He studied up to his SSLC at the St. Joseph's Convent, Kalamassery, pre-degree from Maharajas College, undergraduation from the Armed Forces Medical College, Pune, did his MD General Medicine from PGI Chandigarh, a DM Cardiology from GB Pant Hospital at Delhi, where legends like Dr. Khalilullah and Dr. Padmavati were there during those days. Then he did his fellowship in electrophysiology from the Westmead Hospital, Sydney, Australia, and then joined the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute as faculty. He rose to the rank of Senior Professor of Cardiology, Dean, and finally was the Director of Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute of Medical Sciences. He is just recently retired. This is the second time that we have a former Director of Sri Chitra Tirunal as a chief guest at our graduation ceremony. We were blessed to have the legendary Professor M.S. Valyathan here. So I think this should be a tradition where the Sri Chitra Tirunal director should add in their itinerary that they should come for inaugural ceremony of the graduation day or take part in graduation day of the Mosc Medical College. Professor Ajit is a pioneer in interventional cardiology and electrophysiology and has been instrumental in starting cardiac cath labs and upgrading the existing facilities in many countries. Whether it be in UAE at the Fujairah Hospital or in Al Qasmi Hospital in the UAE. He was Chief of Cardiology at Zigdar Medical College, Dhaka, Bangladesh, and consultant cardiologist at Chest Hospital, Kuwait. All these stints for 1 year, basically as a task job, set up the unit and come back to India where he loves to be. I was not sure how I should introduce him, so I asked a very senior cardiologist, how should I introduce Dr. Ajit? And I quote, he told me, Dr. Ajit is a lateral thinker, never takes for granted what others say, studies a subject in depth, thinks of all possibilities before coming to a conclusion. He is tech savvy, he is always one of the first to try out new gadgets. He is a pioneer in electrophysiology who, along with Dr. Taragan, was the first to start epicardial ablation in India. He has inherited this legacy, I am sure, legacy of medicine academics from his parents. His father, the late Dr. V.K. Kumaran, was from the 1934 batch of the Madras Medical College, a World War II veteran who was in the Kerala government service in Cochin when he passed away. His mother was a degree holder from the yesteryears when education, let alone graduation, was relatively uncommon among women. Ajit's wife is a postgraduate MA degree holder who preferred to ensure stability at home as a homemaker. His elder daughter is a neurologist who, after a DM, is pursuing postdoctoral neuromuscular fellowship in the Sri Chitra Tirunal Center. Her husband is a neonatologist with the KIMS Thiruvananthapuram. His younger daughter is pursuing her MD radio oncology at the RCC, and her husband has completed his MD general medicine. So, indeed, a family full of doctors. The paucity of time limits me from delving into my personal association with Dr. Ajit, which would probably go on for hours together. All I can say is that we have with us an excellent student and exemplary academician, a meticulous researcher, a compassionate clinician, a very good friend, and a wonderful human being. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dr. V.K. Ajit Kumar.
Thank you, sir. We're indeed honored to have such an eminent personality in our midst. We welcome you, sir. We request Dr. V.K. Ajit Kumar to deliver the keynote address.
Respected His Grace Dr. Yakub Mar Ranius, Metropolitan of the Diocese of Kochi and Vice President, Malankara Orthodox Syrian Church Medical Mission, Sri Joy Jacob, Secretary and CEO, MOSC Medical College, Dr. Sajan Naik, Director Strategic Planning and Medical Services, Dean Dr. K.K. Devakar, dignitaries on and off the stage, faculty, staff, parents, grandparents, and most importantly, graduates of the 2017 batch. A very good evening to all of you. On this glorious evening, I am immensely honored to be here today to celebrate your graduation from this medical school. This is a momentous occasion, and I know that you all are feeling a mixture of excitement, relief, and maybe a touch of sadness. The road that you have traveled together has now come to an end, and now you have to trek and tread your own different paths. These are difficult times for humanity. As Dickens once said, these are the best of times, these are the worst of times. This is the age of wisdom, this is the age of foolishness. This is the spring of hope and the winter of despair. Why? See, on the one hand, you can see that the precision of medicine has kept the COVID pandemic in check and saved lives, while on the other hand, you can see the Ukraine-European war front, which is using all its scientific knowledge to kill and annihilate each other. What an irony and what a paradox, but this is what is happening. Nevertheless, I want to assure you that all of you are prepared for what lies ahead. You have been trained by some of the best minds in medical field, including my good friend and your dean, and you have the skills and knowledge to make a real difference to the world. I want to start by congratulating you for having crossed this threshold of MBBS and reached this traditional ceremony of graduation. It is indeed a culmination of your prayers, your physical endurance, and your intellectual effort, something that needs to be experienced. Other professionals cannot comprehend the amount of effort that we take to finish off this thing called MBBS. For some of you, at least, this graduation is a calling, something that captures you, something that entrances you, and will keep you enchanted for the rest of your life. You have worked long and hard to get to this point, and you should be proud of what you have accomplished. I can remember that the pages of anatomy that you have consumed, the biochemistry that you have mugged, the Harrison, Davidson, the Kumar, the Balian love that you have devoured, with all the love-hate relationship, and are all now old story. You are now a free bird waiting to take off into the wide open firmament, but little realizing the dangers and responsibilities that come along with it. I should also heartily felicitate your parents and grandparents and teachers for carving out you people and presenting them to the society and to the nation. Now, it is important that you acquire some important values, which was just told. As you embark on your next journey, there are some skills which you should acquire. The few essential skills a young physician should acquire are intellectual skills, hand skills, and perhaps the most important is the patient skills, to which I will add time skills, communication skills, and writing skills. Intellectual skills, you need to have and display these skills of the intellect for the others and the public to respect you. Remember that reading is essential to keep up with the latest development in medicine. So spend at least 1 hour a day to scan through the medical literature and journals. It's much less time than what you would spend through your WhatsApp. Hand skills, extremely essential if you plan to super specialize or subspecialize. Good surgical or interventional skills in specific specialty areas, small specialty areas like the retina, the gallbladder, the liver, or the coronaries are quite easy to develop, provided you focus and take the effort to learn it. It is much easier than what the good old surgeon and the good old physician of olden days, that's what we say now, used to do. My dad, as he said, was a 1934 MBBS batcher from MMC. He used to be an accomplished surgeon, was a gynecologist as well as a physician. My daughter, on the other hand, the third generation, is just a post-DM who's specializing only in neuromuscular, a focused pediatric neurologist. So see the amount of difference that has happened. Patient skills. I think the most important thing that you should acquire, but yet rare these days, is the patient skill. There is the need to smile, the need to talk, the need to touch your patient to gain his trust. The routine of clinical examination can never be supplanted, let me tell you, by all these MRI machines or ultrasound machines. I'm quite a fan of all these things, but it can never supplant your clinical touch. I tell my residents that it is so easy to succeed as a doctor. All that you have to do is to be nice to your patients. Time skills, extremely important. Please keep your watches 15 minutes ahead. You need to have successful people have this time skill. So plan your day, set priorities, do a time audit, and be on time. Communication skills is very important. You need to communicate your skills and your knowledge with your peers, with your students and academia. Know how to present and analyze data in scientific forums. And last but not the least, writing skills. As Dr. Atul Gawande said, you need to write something. Write a poem, write a story, write a few lines, and ultimately you need to write articles. Remember that publications is the passport to academic success. Today, publish or perish is the watchword of today. Now let us look at our country and what we do in research. You don't realize the awesome power of the country. Actually, in real terms, India has a GDP of nearly $3.5 trillion. Is the 5th largest economy ahead of UK and France, and the most populated country of the planet. The annual Indian software export alone in economic terms is $156 billion. This is larger than the annual Saudi Arabian oil exports. And mind you, this is purely based on intellectual abstract concepts. But then, if you get down to medical research and cutting edge medical academics in the country, we are behind countries like South Korea, Australia, UK, France, Sweden, not to speak of US and China, there is hardly any fundamental research being done in the country, be it virology, immunology, or cancer biology. Why? I was part of a Kerala government higher education committee to look into the reasons as to why we are lacking behind in serious medical research. The probable reasons we could identify is the lack of a research ecosystem for undergraduate training and absence of research methodology in MBBS and MD curriculum. But I was quite happy when your dean, Dr. Divakar, told about the research interests that you people have, and I should be happy, and I congratulate you for doing that amount of research in your MBBS. Now, how do we overcome these factors? You should take up this as a challenge and incorporate a research-based approach in your subsequent training. The National Medical Council is trying to introduce an MD MS program with PhD. I'm not sure how far it will succeed, but I should tell you in Sri Chitra, we have pioneered a dual DM PhD program. I repeat, a dual DM PhD program for the first time in the country, and people who are interested can pursue both simultaneously. Let us come to an important area which Thirumeni discussed regarding doctor-patient relationship, which we cannot escape as of today. There was a time when medical profession was considered as noble. I think it still is. And the physicians and surgeons were considered next to gods. Even recently, I've heard educated people talk about a surgeon. He says that God is working through his fingers. He does surgery wonderfully. Yes, it is true. Remember that God often works through you to help others. So it is important for the system to ponder why this lofty doctor-patient relationship has deteriorated over time, particularly in India. Many factors have played their role. The changing social fabrics, the rise in education, the leap in technology and digital information, social media, commercialization of medical services, and not to say the least, even corruption and loss of faith on both sides. A carpenter loves his tools, a driver loves his car, and you need to love your patients. I may fight at home with my wife, have a quarrel with my colleagues, but the moment I reach the hospital, I settle down and I am comfortable with my patients. As Dr. Abraham Burgess, the US-based author and physician at Stanford University says, it's very interesting. He says that the doctor-patient interview is a ritual. The patient gives you this assent to enter and breach his private space in all faith. And mind you, this privilege is sacred, which you need to respect. The patient confides in you and expects you to do whatever be in your discretion the best for him. So respect this ritual and this privilege which no other profession can claim. As Thirumeni said, it requires compassion. Empathy is yet another skill that one needs to develop as a physician. What is empathy? You might be hearing. See, it is the ability to feel or understand others' problems through their own shoes. Now, this clarion call for empathy and compassion should be all-consuming in your subsequent future. When a patient comes into my room, as he enters into my OP, the first response for me is to disarm him with a smile, establish an eye contact, and listen to his problems without interruption. Famous elderly economists used to come to my OPD often. He used to take almost every monthly reviews. So I asked him, he seemed to be reporting even more frequently. So I asked him why he is coming to the OPDs so often. Without a blink, he said, "Doc, all my problems disappear on seeing you and your smile." He of course bluffed, but he made my day, and even today the voice rings in my ears. So smile. So simple a process. And be kind. Never be arrogant towards your patients. Remember that you are a healer in the true sense if the relationship between you and your patient is a covenant of faith, not a business contract. It is an article of trust, not an exchange of services for payment. A patient is not your client. I want to tell you a word about burnout. You see, we were told that you need to work as worship, and we believed it. I used to spend my time, my entire week in the hospital, Sunday mornings. There's obviously less time for family and friends. And in the weekend, I used to be tired out, could not be creative. Now, this is physical burnout. You need to have a balance of everything. Please remember that you have to give enough time for your family and for yourself, especially for your health and for your relaxation. Ultimately, you have only one life to look after. Once more, I should congratulate all of you and the winners, especially for this wonderful performance. I congratulate the teachers who have taught you and shaped your thought process. As an ancient teacher once told his pupils, more than the calf wishes to suck, remember that the cow wishes to be suckled. Teaching in itself is rewarding and at the same time gratifying beyond words. The parents who have sacrificed their all to see you people graduate as doctors deserve to be felicitated more than anyone else. Let me tell you that their joy knows no boundaries today. You will never really understand them till you have children. The stalking, the anxiety, the worries, the ecstasy, all will be revealed only when you start graduating as parents. I am at my best as a parent and maybe even better as a grandparent. So go hug them after this and show off your degrees. My final piece of advice, read, ask questions, be passionate about your work, be compassionate and kind, and think big and dream big. Before I conclude, I asked the Chat GPT, which is the robot of all things, asked him to what is your advice for a passing out graduate. It's very interesting what the Chat GPT told. He said, first, always remember why you became a doctor. I don't know why he said that. Second, be compassionate and caring, understanding. Third, be lifelong learners. Fourth, be advocates to your patients. But the last I liked. He said, fifth, be kind to yourself. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom. The most awaited moment. Yes, now it is time we acknowledge the academic prowess of our graduates. The fruit of hard work and discipline will finally be reaped with the presentation of the Scholastic Awards. We request Dr. V.K. Ajit Kumar to please present the Scholastic Awards.